What was that conversation like with your family when you found out that you had gotten the scholarship to go? Just a great moment.
It was crazy. Well, yeah.
Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome. We are in the studio, but not our regular studio right now. We're in the Spot Recording LA here with Ada. It is an amazing, beautiful day. We got a nice, beautiful breeze coming in right now. Beautiful day for an interview. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. I can't complain.
Yeah.
You know, how are you?
Good. You just got back from the farmer's market. How was the farmer's market today?
It was fun. I try not to spend too much money when I'm there because I want everything, but I got some bread and hummus and what else did I get? I got some fresh jam, fresh strawberry jam.
It's one of those things that you find in LA that like is not everywhere. These nice little farmers markets. Yeah. It's pretty nice.
It's really nice.
Yeah. Guys, some really cool stuff going to be coming up for Ada really soon. The Hotel Cafe. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't seen her perform yet, you got to check it out. So you do a mixture of live music, violin, where violin's kind of like the lead at the in parts of the music. Talk to me about that, because it's not something that you see in every type of music.
Right, that's true. Well, I grew up as a classical violinist, so that was like my life, you know, from 6 to 16. That's all I did, that's all I knew. And then I went to Berklee College of Music, and that's where I fell in love with songwriting and improvisation, and that's where I started singing. So it's kind of just naturally happened, you know. I started jamming with people from all over the world, and I was singing and playing violin. It's just like, it became me. And one day I was sitting on the floor of a Berklee practice room, tiny little closet room, and I was learning a jazz standard, and I had they call it the, oh my God, I'm spacing out, what do they call it? the real book, they call it the real book. It's like a jazz Bible. It's like where you can learn all the jazz standards. And I was learning Fly Me to the Moon, and I was sitting on the floor, and I had my violin across my lap, kind of like a guitar or ukulele or whatever, and I plucked a note. Let's say like Fly Me to the Moon was in D minor, right? So I plucked the D, and I started practicing. Fly me to the moon, G. This would be better if I had the violin. And then
I can feel it. I'm feeling it right now. Go ahead, keep going.
So then I realized while I was doing that to learn the song, I realized that I could kind of accompany myself on the violin, like as a bass player, you know, playing the root notes of the chords. And I was like, this is super cool. I never even realized that I could do that, you know? So I started to do a lot of the plucking stuff, and it kind of just developed, you know, from that moment on. And when I started writing songs, I started writing them on the violin, kind of playing it like this, like a ukulele. Mm-hmm. It just felt really natural. And yeah, I've been doing that ever since. And now I play with the band and different musicians. But yeah, I write songs and sing, and then violin's a big part of what I do. What
I love about your story is that it's one of those types of stories that could really be like a Disney movie at some point. You come to the United States at 6 years old from Russia, am I right? Mm-hmm. Okay, you're practicing the violin for 10 years, you make your way into an orchestra, and then you're told you can't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. Walk me through that. What was that moment like when you were told you couldn't, and how did you transition from going to something that you've done for 10 years to now you're not able to do that?
Oh man, you're gonna make me cry. Yeah, it was crazy. I reached a really high level, like the highest level of violin playing, you know, when I was 16. And I was performing not only in orchestras, I was performing with orchestras as a soloist, with professional orchestras when I was 16. And I was becoming a classical music star, you know, and kind of really excelling that way. And I developed like severe tendinitis and muscle pain in my whole body. And
what exactly does that feel like? Is that like when you go to move to play, it's just like, is pain in your shoulders or like what? Yeah,
it started, I remember I first felt it in my back when I was at a music festival practicing like 8 hours a day. I first felt it in my back, and I was just like, what the hell is that? That's the first time I felt like pain like that, you know? As a kid, you normally don't feel that kind of stuff. And it was just like these shooting pains in my back, and I'm like, weird, what the heck is that? But it wouldn't go away. And every time I played, it would be there, and it would get worse and worse every day. And it got to the point where I was just suffering from pain, and I couldn't play anymore. So I went to see a doctor who specializes in that kind of stuff. She works with musicians and athletes, you know, who suffer from pain. And she just told me that my muscles are overused, and I need to just relax my body and not play for a while. So she suggested I put the violin away. So I put it in the case for 2 years. and I didn't know if I'd ever play again, you know? I just didn't know. I had built up this big thing, and I just quit it all, and I disappointed a lot of people, you know, a lot of my fans and my family and my violin teachers who put all this time into my career.
I find it interesting that you would say that, though, disappointing them. Did you feel like you had that sort of gravity on you, like you were disappointing them? Because this is something that's out of your control, but at the same time, athletes say that same sort of thing. You feel like you still have some pressure on you to perform for these people that have been following you. Did you feel that?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with like my family and my violin teachers and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's tough, but
It was tough.
the great part about your story is that you have this amazing turnaround. Was it auditioning for Berkeley that it happened?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was, man. So for those 2 years, I was just a normal teenager, just hanging out with my friends, you know, not playing music, just normal kid.
Yeah.
And
what did a normal kid for you look like, by the way? Because
not practicing violin. So one day I was in high school, and my guidance counselor called me, and then she was like, "Hey, Ada, so, you know, do you have any ideas for what you want to do for college?" And I was like, "No." And I knew that some of my friends were starting to apply, and like it was already coming up, but I didn't really think it was an option for me, because I knew my parents couldn't afford it. And also I didn't know what the heck I would do. You know, I hadn't played in 2 years, so I didn't think that I would be a violinist per se. Because of obvious reasons, and I don't know, I didn't have any other interests or passions really at the time. But I told my guidance counselor that my mom was taking music therapy courses at New School University back then, and she'd always come home and tell me how powerful it was, you know. She would play music for people with dementia, and they would come to life and remember all the lyrics of their favorite songs and start talking about their family, and you know, and bring back all these memories. And it was just this really powerful tool. It's like music therapy, wow, it sounds amazing. So I was intrigued by that, and I told my guidance counselor, and I remember she went on the computer and typed in like music therapy colleges. And one of the things that came up was Berklee College of Music. And I had never heard of it at the time. Because I grew up as a classical violinist, and like Berklee is contemporary school, you know? So if I hadn't quit, I probably would have gone to Juilliard or something like that. So it's totally different world. But yeah, she went on the Berklee website, and we started to read, you know, it was in Boston Contemporary School, and it had jazz and all this. And I was definitely like excited about it. It sounded really fun, and it had music therapy, you know, and all these different things. But I was like, there's no way my family could afford that. Like, it's super expensive. Who could afford that? So, and I remember she was like, "Oh, but maybe you'll get a scholarship." And I'm like, well, I haven't played in 2 years, so even if I get a scholarship, it's still like I wouldn't want to put that financial burden on my family, you know. So I left her office, blah, blah, blah. I talked about it with my parents. We decided not to apply just because like it wasn't practical for our family until...
Oh, there it is.
Until one night, I'm sitting in the kitchen with my mom, drinking tea, and she, all of a sudden, I don't even remember if we were talking about college. Maybe we were, maybe we weren't. But all of a sudden she goes, "I have this gut feeling that you should apply for Berklee right now."
Wow.
And I'm like, right now?
Wow.
Okay. And it turned out to be the night that the application was due, like an hour. I swear to God, it's crazy. Like an hour before the application was due.
That's fate.
I know. It really is. It really, really is.
Real 8 Mile one-shot mom spaghetti type of moment where you just go straight Eminem and just say, "I got this right now." Now, when you applied for it and they reached out to you, what was your initial response to that?
Well, thank God I listened to my mom, so I applied, you know, and filled out the application, just like barely made it in time to submit. And then they invite you for a live audition. And I hadn't played violin in 2 years.
And your dad went with you.
So I picked up the violin and practiced. I don't remember how long, maybe it was like a couple weeks or a month. I, you know, practiced and prepared a piece. And my dad accompanied me on the piano, and he drove me to Boston. It was like 3 hours from Connecticut, where my parents live. And yeah, I played the piece, and I had my audition, and I did well, I think. Apparently they liked it, because I got an email soon after that telling me that not only am I accepted, but I got a full scholarship.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Crazy. And it was a presidential scholarship. So they chose 7 students per year out of thousands of people.
What was that conversation like with your family when you found out that you had gotten the scholarship to go? Just a great moment.
It was crazy. Well, yeah. I remember when I got the email, I was like in shock, and I ran upstairs screaming. My mom was teaching violin because she's a music teacher, and I was just like screaming. I'm like, Mom, I got this. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. And of course, we were really happy and ecstatic. And then my dad came home from work, and I told him, and he was like skeptical. He's like, "Are you sure it's not a mistake?" You know, like typical Russian stuff. He's like, "You should call to make sure it's not a mistake." I'm like, "Thanks, Dad." So we did. We called. Called like, "Hi, this is Ada Pasternak. I just want to make sure that this was so silly." And they were like, "Yeah, congratulations." So I was like, "Wow." And so yeah, that was that. It was crazy. And so my parents drove me to Boston to go to college, and it was super exciting. And I remember just like they dropped me off, and they I went up to my dorm room. I just remember it clearly like it was yesterday. I met my roommate, who now I'm like really close friends with, Amanda. And it was just so surreal, the whole thing. And
we can see from your emotion right now that moment still means a lot to you to have that. And I got to imagine that is probably one of the real highlights of your violin career thus far, I would imagine.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely one of the highlights and like miraculous moments of my life, you know, because I know for a fact that if my mom hadn't told me to apply to Berkeley that night, I wouldn't have gone to Berkeley. I wouldn't have gotten that scholarship. And I may not have been doing music. I may never have written a song. You know, I most definitely wouldn't be in this moment right now.
And what's amazing is that there's so many great things still to come after this moment. Ada, again, is going to be performing at Hotel Cafe in the near future, so be sure to check that out.
Yeah, I could. I'm actually performing there. When is this coming out?
This will be probably out by Monday. So, what's today?
Oh.
Sunday? So yeah, it'll be out tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, if it'll be out tomorrow, I'm performing there for Monday, this current Monday. So tonight? Tonight.
So
yeah, I'm performing. Yeah, I'm performing 3 songs for Monday at Hotel Cafe tonight at 9 o'clock. And then I'm performing in West Hollywood at Bar Lubitsch on February 4th at 8 o'clock. It's Berkeley night, so it'll be a lot of talented musicians.
Bam.
And then, yeah, that's what I have coming up in the near future. That's confirmed. And I have Instagram and YouTube and all that stuff, so follow me at Ada Pasternak.
And you can check out all of those links in the description below. So now that you are doing this full time, has it been everything you had expected it to be? What are some stories that you have as being someone that is a musician full time? Because, I mean, there's a lot of people that aspire to doing what you're doing right now.
It's an interesting question, the expecting thing, because I don't think I was kind of just going with the flow. I still am, but like even more so, you know, when you're younger, I didn't have any expectations. I didn't know what it would be like. I was just, oh, whoa, I'm no longer a classical violinist. Oh, wow, I'm writing songs. Wait, I'm singing them? You know, it was all just all these new experiences, and I started to develop as an artist, and I still am, of course. And it's just really fun. It's really fun being creative, and I love writing songs, and I love singing and performing and connecting with people through music. And I'm just really grateful that I could do that, and I'm excited for 2020.
And now that you are creating music and performing so frequently, what is the message that you hope to get across with your art? What is it that you hope people see of you when they see your art?
I want people to know that no matter what you're struggling with, no matter what, you know, what tough experiences you've had or are going through, that you should never give up, and you should go after your dream. And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. You just live every day to the fullest, hang out with great people, and keep smiling. And yeah, life is beautiful, so let's live it to the fullest.
That's a great note to leave it on. She is Ada Pasternak. Guys, go ahead and check out all of the links in the bio below to get a little bit more information about her. And good luck. Best of luck. Break a leg on the stage.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you. Nice to connect with you.